Hi, welcome to Kenyaddacreates. I'm Kenyatta. Welcome to my channel. Today is a January reading wrap up, where I show you all the books I read in January and tell you whether I liked it or not, and whether I recommend it. The first book I read in December, actually, because someone asked my opinion on it, so I'm gonna go ahead and add it in there. Is Final Girls by Raleigh Sager. I did enjoy this book. Um, it wasn't too slasher gory. It was just the perfect amount of action for me. Um, this girl goes on, girl named Quincy goes on vacation with 5 of her friends, and she's the only one that comes back. And years later, it's coming back around. People are dying. Well, it's the final girls. There's like 3 of them that survived a group attack, and they were the final girls alive. So, one comes up dead, and so it's like a mystery to find out what really happened. Are they coming after her next? Who did it? It was really good. I really enjoyed it, and I would recommend it. The next one was Anne Rice, Pandora. I love vampire books. I love Anne Rice books. This was an old-timey vampire in the Lestat days. If you ever watched Interview with a Vampire, you know the timeline I'm talking about. Pandora, this really tells a story of her. She's writing down her story of her before she became a vampire, her human life onto her vampire life, and just basically that's what it is. It's telling her story. It's like, if this was a true story, this would be a biography of Pandora's life. And if you're interested in vampires and what they have to go through in the transition, this was an interesting book. I would only recommend it if you like old-timey vampire books. This ain't like Twilight or Vampire Diaries. This is like old school vampires, and I really enjoyed it because I'm a fan of Anne Rice. Survive the Night by Raleigh Sager. Now, this was a book I wasn't sure about at first because a lot of people did not like it, but I wanted to check it out for myself because sometimes I like books that other people don't like, and I'm glad I did because I really love this book. Now, this is about Charlie. Charlie is a college student whose friend got murdered. And she has this guilt. She's carrying around this guilt about what happened, that she left her alone that night, and she decides to leave college. She gets in the car with a stranger to get a ride back home, and she's starting to think that this guy is the one who committed the crime. So she's in this car with a stranger and think he's the murderer. And it's like she's got to figure out if she's safe, if she's going to survive the night. And I really like the fact that I didn't know who done it until there was no one left but that person. It was like, okay, it got to be this person because it ain't nobody else. And I like that I figured it out because I hardly ever figure it out. But I like this book. Ninth House by Lee Bardugo. I like this book. It is a fantasy book, dark academia. It was confusing when I first started. I listened to it on audio, and it was confusing at first. And then when I finally got into it and started, understanding what was going on, then it was like, okay, this is about Alex. She grew up in a real rough life, and she was recruited by Yale to go into Yale with a scholarship to enter into this program, the Secret Society, and she deals with the paranormal stuff. She could see ghosts, and they call them grays, and she could see grays, but they don't know the extent of how the extent of her powers. They think that she could just see grays, but she could do a lot more than that. And this is her adventure of uh, trying. And if something happens to, she's a Dante, and something happened to her Virgil, and she's having she is going to be on a mission to trying to say to want to find out what happened to him, and also trying to keep from dying because something is after her. So it was kind of confusing, but I enjoyed it. I may have confused you. Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. This was about Jason Dessen. This is about a guy who wakes up to realize that there's alternate universes, alternate realities to his own, and he's trapped into an alternate universe. He got sent to another Jason's alternate universe. It's a world just like his, but it's different, and he has to go into these different universes, different parallel universes to find his own, to get back to his family. And it's a good story because it just makes you think, like, what if there is alternate universe? What if there's another me doing exactly what I'm doing, but doing it different, making different decisions? That, like, I woke up this morning and started to crochet. What if somebody woke up this morning and decided they didn't want to crochet? Something simple like that. And it changes the course of your daily routines, making different choices. And it shows how the different Jason and different alternate universe lives are totally different from different choices that they made. And he has to find his way back home, but it's not as easy as just that. It's a lot of things coming against him. The company that he works for, the company that he's over in another universe is after him because they're trying to figure out the ins and out of the parallel universes, and he's the only one that's ever returned. So they're trying to get him and get the answers that they're looking for because they're all about making money, and so his life is in danger, and they willing to kill anybody who gets in the way. So now on to Babel by R.F. Kuang. This was okay. I wanted to love it, but I just didn't. It was okay. This is about a boy named Robin Swift. He was taken from Canton. His family was killed off by cholera, and the professor that went over to get him takes him takes him in his household and raises him, gets him educated so he can go off to Oxford. So he can go off to Oxford. This book was boring until I got to chapter 23, and that's when the action started happening. But because before that, it was just like, okay, why do people like this book? But when I got to chapter 23, that's when the action started happening. People started dying. And I didn't care enough about the characters to really care if they died or not. I just liked that it was some action. And people were dying. And people were being sneaky. And they, Robin and his friends end up hiding things from each other and go co-conspirating things together. And it turns into a big mess. It turns into a big mess, and they go against what Oxford stands for because Robin is there's a group of rebellions. What are they called? There's a group of the Hermes Society. They are against what Oxford stands for, and it because Oxford makes it silver, and the silver heals people, but they only allow the rich to get access to it. But Hermes Society feels like the poor should be able to get access to that as well, so they steal the silver and make sure the poor gets it. But the Oxfords, they got the police involved in trying to figure out how to get to the Hermes Society and stop them. And Robin is recruited by the Hermes Society, and he gets it in his head that he doesn't like what Oxford stands for either, but he likes the benefits of Oxford. So he's kind of battling, like, I'm enjoying the money, I'm enjoying the education, I could see my future here, but also I see what Hermes stands for. And so then he finds out his couple of his friends are also involved with the Hermes Society, and they, like I said, it gets action. Actions comes after chapter 23, but you gotta suffer through it to get there. But it was okay. I can't say I loved it, but it was okay. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. This book I absolutely loved. I did not want it to end. It is about two friends named Sadie and Sam. They met when they were children, and they connected through playing games. They they friendship set they stopped being friends, but years later they uh, run into each other again, and they decide to make a game together, and this game uh, brings them close together in a friendship, and they build their company and grow together, but they have fallouts, they have pain, suffering, they just deal with a lot in their friendship, and um, to the point where sometimes they don't feel like they're friends at all. And it's a real heartwarming story, and I really recommend this book. It was just a story that I did not want to end. When I got to the last page, I was like, dang, I wish it would continue. And I hope they have a part 2 coming, because I really, really love this book. I don't really rate books, but I would give this book a 5-star. This won the book of the year for book of the month last year, and I see why. Um, it's really good. It's really good. I also read Home Before Dark by Raleigh Sager. What was this book about? Some of these books I read so long ago, I gotta remember what they were about. This is about Maggie. Maggie grew up in this house that her father and mother claim is haunted, and they got rich on writing a book. Their father wrote a book about how haunted this house was, and Maggie is the main character in this book. And all these things happen around Maggie. Well, Maggie doesn't remember any of this happening, so she's like, want to know. She grew up mad at her parents and angry and confused and wondering why they're lying. And she just grew up, kept asking them why. But they never gave her an answer. They just stuck to their guns, stuck to their story. It was haunted. And when her father died, she inherits the house. And she got to go back to the house. And strange things start happening, and she starts to wonder, was her father telling the truth all along? Because things are happening that she don't quite understand. But she's in a battle with herself, like, but ghosts aren't real. These things can't be real. It's like his book is talking about somebody else other than me, but these weird things are happening to her in the present. So she's really got to figure out what's going on. But it's a good book. I really enjoyed it. I would read this again. It wasn't too scary. I was a little scared going in because I'm a chicken, but it wasn't too scary. I enjoyed it. And then the last book I read, Hellbent by Lee Bardugo. This is the second book in the Ninth House series. This book was better than the first one. I really enjoyed it. This was about her trying to get her Virgil back. She went to hell to get him back, but it's like, did he really come back? What else did she bring back from hell with her? And she recruited these friends and associates to help her get him back, and all these and things are haunting them and coming after them that they brought back from hell. And at all the while they trying to figure out is what is his name? I can't remember his name, but it's Sir Virgil. That's what his title is. And they're trying to figure out, did they really bring him back, or they bring a pure demon back? And if they did bring part of him back, is there a way to bring the rest of him back so his demon don't get loose and create havoc? And this was, I really enjoyed this. This was a good book. It's a thickie, but it was a really good book. Now I have since September, I have been on a reading slump. And so I've had to listen to majority of these books on audio because I'm just not getting through books fast enough. Now I am currently reading Life and Death by Stephanie Myers, and I'm reading that with my eyes, no audio, because I couldn't find an audio book. Just like Pandora, I read that with just my eyes because I couldn't find an audio book. And so, but it takes me a long time to get through a book. I can't read as fast as I used to. But the audio book really helps me because I can crochet while I listen to the book. So, and when I'm laying in bed at night and can't sleep, I listen to a book. So, these were the books I read. And I'm not really great at explaining things. So, I hope I gave you a gist of what they were about, and I try not to it's hard for me to explain things without spoiling it. So I hope I gave you just enough where I didn't spoil it, and whether like I told you, where I liked it or not, and whether I recommend it. If I liked it, I recommend it. Only one I really didn't care for a lot was Babel. It took too long to get to the action. It was okay. But all the rest of the book I really recommend. But my favorite book out of all these was Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. Because, like I said, I just didn't want that book to end. I really hope they make a part 2. I really do. So thank you for taking the time to watch. Please give this video a like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to click the notification bell to be notified whenever I post another video. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.